I know some others coming in, but our detective been working probably all day, so he don't want to stay around here all night. But in any event, we would welcome you here. This is a training session, active shooters, that says he'll tell you more about that. But before we get started, can Brother Bernard Gilliard, will you lead us in prayer for a second, please?
Let us bow our heads in prayer. Father God, we thank you right now for this day we've not seen before, but yet we're about to close the day. We just thank you for that right now, oh God. And we thank you, oh God, for Detective Matthews, who is taking time out to provide this critically needed training to us, civilian response to active shooter events. This is a time and a season, oh God, where we need your guidance, we need your protection. We need your hedge of protection around us, oh God. And we just ask blessings on all the families represented here, all the information that will be provided out here. And we ask that you guide and protect each of us, oh God, as we continue on this earth to do your will. This we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Bernard. At this time, I present Detective Justin Martin, and do it in your own way.
I'm going to probably take this just because I like to walk around a little bit when I teach. I don't like staying in one spot. I know sometimes, on Sunday mornings, the pastor likes to move around a little bit, right? So I'm going to move around a little bit for you guys today. But like I said, I'm Detective Justin Matthews. I work here for the Town of Lexington Police Department. Chief Green got in touch with me and wanted me to come here with you guys and teach some of this to you guys. I've been working at Town of Lexington for about 4 years. Started my career with the City of Columbia. 2015, actually the week of the flood. That was a wonderful week to start, right? Get thrown right into the ordeal. I ended up working there for about 5 years, came over here for 4, and I'm on my about 10th year of law enforcement. But this program here I'm going to teach you guys today, this is a program that is near and dear to my heart. Like I said, I was talking to Mr. Jones earlier before we got started, and this was a program that I seen an individual teach, used to teach this class, and he's now a special agent with SLED doing this. This is all he does. Listen to him teach this class and fell in love with it. And I said, hey, how much more training can I take from this? Because this needs to be out there for everybody. So he got me involved in this and started helping me teach. And now I'm actually with him and part of the active shooter attack unit with SLED. We are adjunct instructors. We go all over the state. We can go teach this stuff just about anywhere. That being said, I'll go ahead and get started. So this is our civilian response to active shooter events. This is one that we give to the community. A lot of times we give this to schools, we can do churches, businesses, just about anywhere. Because I think anybody can use this, because you never know when, where, or how any of these active shooters can start. It could be just about anywhere. We'll go through some of that stuff as well. So this puts up here, this is just saying if you're affiliated with any of these situations. I don't know if y'all can read that, but I'll read them out. It's Columbine High School, Virginia Tech, Station Nightclub Fire, you have U.S. Airways Flight 1549, Orlando Nightclub shooting in Townville Elementary, which some of those we'll go into some detail about. We'll talk about some things that, not saying we're going Monday morning quarterback, as the old saying goes. We're not going to say what they should have done or what they shouldn't have done, but it gives you a little bit of insight of what to think about if one of these situations was ever, God forbid, ever happened, but gives you some ideas of what to go through. So this is a good saying here. That's might be kind of small to read, but it says, this is a good quote here by Barrett Tillman. It says, "You will not rise to the occasion. You will default to your lowest level of training." And that's what we tell our officers all the time. So if you don't train it and you only do it one time, when you get in that stressful situation, the only thing you're going to think about is your lowest level of training. It's going to be a natural instinct to happen. So the more we can train this type of stuff, the more prepared we'll be in that situation when it finally does happen. So we make sure all of our guys are prepared as possible. This is just a definition we put in here for disaster response. This is the background science of how people behave in high-stress events. Of course, we usually had some videos and this stuff, but some of it would get a little off topic, so we kind of took some of those videos out. You would see those things. But 3 stages of disaster response are going to be your denial, which is kind of like, we explain it as people say when they were in denial, well, when they've interviewed people after shootings, victims or whoever, survivors, and they say, well, I thought somebody was chopping wood. I thought I heard somebody chopping wood. I didn't think it was gunshots. Well, how many times have you been inside Walmart and heard somebody chopping wood? Never, right? They chopping wood in Walmart, we got a problem, right? So that's that denial phase, because they're in denial. Their mind's playing a trick on them. Their mind's playing games on them. Like, could that have really been gunshots, or was that something else? So that's one of the stages we'll hit. Deliberation. So deliberation's that mindset you got to be in to be ready to have that idea, to make that idea, to have that action. And then your decisive moment is acting on that mindset and that thought of what to do. Hey, we have a plan in place. Let's activate that plan, or let's do that plan so we can get out, try to get out as safe as possible. So Orlando, Florida, I don't know if you guys remember the Pulse nightclub shooting. 49 people perished in that shooting. It was a very, very heinous act. Anybody here been to Disney World in Orlando? That was his initial target. He was going to target Disney World. He was going to try to shoot and kill as many people as possible. Well, what happened with that incident is that individual was met with, y'all been to Disney World? I went about 2 or 3 years ago, and I was amazed by all the security they got. They got police trucks out front. They got security alarms up the front. He had a bunch of weapons loaded inside of a baby carrier and was going to push it right through the front gate. Well, police kind of deterred him from doing that because they seen, they seen the cars and all. He's seen all that. He said, well, this ain't going to be a good job because I ain't going to get my action done. And their action, which we'll talk about, is to kill as many people as fast as possible. That's usually their goal, unfortunately. And so he wasn't able to accomplish that goal. So what did he do? He rode around. He thought of some places. And he was actually frequenting that nightclub and decided, hey, this is going to be an easy target. They ain't got no security. I can walk right in, do what I need to do. There was an on-duty officer working. He was actually plain clothes, but he was working on some juveniles out in the parking lot drinking at the time. So he wasn't inside doing the security like he should have been. Like I said, we're not going to Monday morning quarterback what he was doing, but if he had been up there, a full police car, like, Chief Green loves these black and white police cars we got because they stick out, right? Nobody around here's got black and white police cars. The Chief Green loves them. I don't mind them either. I think we stand out. I think they look pretty good. But he didn't see that police car sitting out there, so he said, hey, this is going to be an easy attack. So what did he do? He went in and attacked. Like I said, 49 people perished in that attack. Sometimes we would play a video. It's kind of loud and it's very grainy, but the video shows the young lady, and it was a detective, as he was investigating the scene. He saw a bunch of phones. Of course, there's phones and all kinds of stuff. People just dropped their stuff and ran or whatever. There were phones laying on the ground. Well, he picked the phone up, and on the phone was an active Snapchat. Snapchat's the social media app. And there was a young lady had recorded her during the shooting. You actually see, you hear the gunshots going off. And she has that denial on her face. She's thinking, she's like, you see it on her face, literally. She's like, is that gunshots? Inside the club? I know some music some days, they got gunshots in the background, so she probably didn't think nothing about it. She was like, hey, this is probably just the next song. DJ's playing some good music tonight. And then all of a sudden, everybody started screaming and all that stuff. So we put that in there. Usually we used to put that in there for the denial phase, but that's the Orlando shooting. So like that denial, like I said, don't be in denial. We put social proof up there too. Social proof, the definition of social proof is basically like somebody might be looking for you to make that decision, okay? I know right now somebody busts up in here with a gun. Of course, I got my gun. I got a lawful duty to act, right? But if one or two of y'all started running to the door, I figure the rest of y'all probably going to run to the door, right? I ain't asking no questions. I'm going with you. Well, I have to go to the attack. But if we were in here, on Sunday service and something happened and the only option was to get out, do what we got to do. Don't wait. I might look like a dummy. Y'all might be talking about me at Sunday supper, but guess what? We alive, right? We survived. So don't live in that denial, social proof, because people might be looking for you to make that decision, or you might be looking for somebody else to make that decision, but you don't want to hesitate. And that's why we say go to deliberation. Let's go to that decision making. Go handle what you got to do. And that deliberation, like I said, is that mental script. So we put that up there, and me being at the town of Lexington and at City of Columbia, I was a training officer, field training officer. But basically, we ride with the new guys. We hire a new guy. We ride with them on the road. So all the time we're doing scenarios, mental prep. Hey, we're riding down the road. All of a sudden, bang! Shots of fire. Where are we at? What are we doing? We run them through those mental scripts, so if that situation ever does happen, they can be somewhat ready. So that's why we put mental script, because you always want to be that mental preparedness. I don't want to make you guys paranoid. Anytime we go into a restaurant, you'll see police officers. They always like to sit with their back to the wall, right, so they can see the door. They can see who's coming and going. We can size that person up, say, okay, I don't see a gun on his hip, he looks fine, you know. We always have that mental script. We always have that preparedness because we're saying, hey, if something breaks bad here, where am I going? You know, go to Walmart. I go to Walmart. When I go to Walmart with my family or by myself, I look, okay, I just came through this exit. I know there's an exit that way. There's an exit in the garden section. There's 3 or 4 exits in the back of the door, the back of the store. So wherever I'm at any given time, I know where the exits are at in case I got to leave. You know, there's nothing wrong with running and getting out if you have to. And in practice, we put practice up there. That's going to be part of, like, you know, schools practicing their lockdown drills. And, you know, if y'all have some kind of drills y'all run through at your churches, stuff like that, that's always good to have that practice. Because, like I said, lowest level of training, right? You're going to divert back to it. So if you never practice this stuff, you never have that mental script, when that situation ever does happen, God forbid, you want to be prepared, okay? So we put this up here for deliberation. There used to be a video with it. I don't know if anybody knows about the, it was the station nightclub fire we were talking about a little while ago that I brought up at the first entrance. This was a nightclub layout. I know it's kind of hard to see, but you see them 4 dots. There's like one, they're labeled 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are the 4 exits of that night of that club. So I don't know if anybody's ever heard of the band Great White. It's an old band from the 90s, early 90s, 80s, rock and roll band. Well, they said they were going to go to this club and play this awesome show. It's a little sold-out show. They sold all the tickets. What they didn't know, they had pyrotechnics in their show. So they had all these pyrotechnics going off. They're like, hey, we're going to have this awesome show, pyrotechnics. We're going to play the killer song at the end. Well, what they didn't know is the owner of that club decided to say, we're going to put some soundproof material up here. And anybody knows anything about that stuff is highly flammable. So when the pyrotechnics went off, set the building on fire. But what people didn't understand is those exits. Like I said, that deliberation. When you go into a store, look at your exits. Know where your exits are at. Okay, right now I know there's at least 1, 2, probably 3, at least probably 1 or 2 back there, right? Know your exits. Well, what happened is the people inside this fire, when it broke loose and the fire started, where'd they go? This is a different angle of it, but right there where the big majority of it, you can kind of see where it says entrance, and there's a 31. It's a real kind of darker area. Each one of those orange circles is somebody that died in that fire. It was 100 people inside that club. And 31 of them went to the front entrance. And there's 18 right next to it that were headed to the front entrance, and another 9 that were headed there that died out right out front of the dance floor. And the other ones in the back, that's the offices, the rear bar, all that stuff. None of them went to the exits. Now, there was a good bit of people that did get out. But like I said, I'm not money on a quarterback in anything they did or anything like that. But if you look right there with that 18 kind of off to the front right there, there's a bunch of windows right there. Could they have maybe picked up a chair and smashed out that window or something, pick up a table and throw it through that window to try to get out? I know it's, like I said, I'm not money more than quarterbacking what they did, but, they all went to that first exit because that's the entrance they came through. They weren't thinking of any secondary entrances. They weren't thinking of one behind the stage or something like that. Now, that fire did spread very quickly, and like I said, 100 people did perish in that fire. But that's that deliberation. Have that mindset of thinking going into a business or going into some place you may not be familiar with. Where's my exits? Is my exit here? Where's my exit? I know they've got more than one exit, so always have that deliberation, have that mental preparedness. So this is a most important part of our presentation that we do. As being part of SLED's active attack and active shooter unit, one thing you'll never hear me say is the name of one of these shooters, one of the people that commits these heinous acts on people. Because that's not what we want to do. We don't want to give this person that notoriety because that's what they're there for. They're there to, they want to be famous. They want to go in and they want to kill people. They want to be in the news. And that's one thing you'll never hear me, Todd Ziegler, the other guys that teach this program, any of the guys that SLED, we will never talk about any of the shooters that do this act. We'll never even mention them by name. Who we will remember, though, is the victims. So to be part of this presentation or program, you have to pick a victim. And when I heard Peter Wayne's story, I had to tell people about it because it's a heroic story. Peter Wayne was born September 9th, 2002, to Chinese-American immigrant family in Brooklyn, New York. His family wanted better, so they said, hey, let's move to Parkland, Florida. It's one of the safest towns in America. There'll never be anything bad happens there. We'll have a safe, peaceful life. We'll grow up, we'll grow old there. But what they didn't know that on February 14, 2018, a shooter was going to go into Margaret Snowman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida, and commence to killing people. Well, that day, Peter Wang was on the 3rd floor of that school, and the shots rang out. Originally, fire alarm was pulled. We'll get into some of that stuff later. Fire alarm was pulled to get all the students out in the hallway. Peter Wang was standing in the hallway. His teacher was trying to get back in the room when the shooting started. He couldn't get the door open to get in there to lock them down. So Peter's first reaction was to go to the end of the hallway, hold the door open for his friends. About 24 of his friends and former classmates got out of the school unscathed, unhurt. Unfortunately, Peter Wang perished in that attack. He was one of the last people killed at Parkland shooting in Florida. He wanted to be in the military. He loved ROTC. As you can see, he's in his ROTC uniform. He's actually wearing that exact uniform the day he was killed. He wanted to go to West Point. He wanted to eventually graduate, become a helicopter pilot. He would actually be graduating on Saturday from West Point. He was posthumously accepted to West Point after he passed. Of course, he passed at the age of 15. He was posthumously accepted to West Point. Like I said, he would have been in today's class, 2025. He'd be graduating in 2 days. He was also given an award for his heroism. It's the Young Hero Honoree by the Congressional Medal Honor Society. He was actually given they were trying to get him a military burial, but the petition didn't reach the White House in time to get him a full military funeral. But in my opinion, Peter Wang's a hero. I don't care what anybody says. He saved lives that day. How many 15-year-olds you know out there is going to jump in action and save people? Not many. So that's why I said we talk about these victims. That's what we talk about. I will never mention any shooters' names. I will not mention them by name. I will not ever bring forth any type of their name, because who we want to remember is those victims, okay? So many of you may wonder, well, what is an active shooter? What is the definition of an active shooter? So an active shooter is one or more subjects who participate in a random and systematic shooting spree, demonstrating their intent to continuously harm others. Their overriding objective appears to be mass murder rather than other criminal conduct. So they're, in short, in layman's terms, they're trying to kill as many people as fast as possible, as quickly as possible, as many as they can. That's their whole goal. That's their whole mindset when they go in. It can happen here, right? Correct? We've seen history of it. Anybody know where Townville Elementary is at? It's in Anderson County up in the upstate. Okay? Townville Elementary School, this young man right here, Jacob Hall. I'll read that out to you guys. On September 28, 2016, at 1:45 p.m., 14-year-old male armed with a handgun began shooting at Townville Elementary School playground in Townsville, South Carolina. Prior to the shooting, the shooter, a former student, killed his father at their home. 2 people were killed, including 1 student, 3 were wounded, 1 teacher, and 2 students. A volunteer firefighter who possessed a valid firearms permit restrained the shooter until law enforcement arrived. He was one of the people who died in that shooting. So he was, I believe he was 6 or either 7 years old at the time, and when the shooting started, he was on the playground. He got injured. Teacher, the only thing they could do is pull him into a utility closet right off the playground, try to get in there, lock the door. They barricaded the door up, and they told him to stay quiet, because they knew that if the shooter heard him crying from his injuries, that they would probably too be shot through the door or whatever. The guts that kid had at 6 years old. Stayed quiet, never gave up his position. Now they stayed in that room for a couple hours, and he ended up passing from his injuries, unfortunately. But that just shows you, I mean, it can happen anywhere. Townville, South Carolina, smaller than Lexington. It's a very small town. It can happen anywhere, folks. It's not just going to happen in the big cities or in Columbia or Charleston. It's not just going to happen in these big places. It can happen anywhere. So this is a slide. It needs to be probably updated. I think the most recent we have is 2023 statistics. But each one of these dots is a active shooter event, not a victim, but an event of how somebody shot. And the yellow dots are all by gunshots. And you can't really see it, it's kind of small, but the smaller dots are of less than 4 victims. The big dots are more than 4 victims, okay? And then the red, same for the knife. Red is knife, and then blue is car. So this, I think, goes up to 20. So in 2022, from the time this started in 2001, this program started, alert program started in 1991 to 2012. We've had 2022, we've had 520 active shooter events. I think it's up to like 545 or it's over 550 now. We just need to get some updated numbers. But those are events, and that's not total victims. Like I said, there's a lot. There's 50, 60 victims in some of these. So there's a lot of people that have perished in those attacks. So there's a few graphs in here. I'm going to kind of speed through those because there's not a lot of value to them. Of course, this just shows your attack frequency, how much it's grown over the years, right? It's kind of gone up since 2021. That's the most recent graph we have from the alert. But a lot of them are, of course, by gun. And that's what we see in today's world is all these guns happening. That's your 11-year average. From 2000 when this started, they were having about 10 to 12 a year. And then from 2011 to 2021, which is the last updated numbers we have, there's about 30 a year. So, of course, it's increasing, which a lot of that has to do with news and media coverage and all that kind of stuff. Of course, we see it more in the news now than we ever did. Well, what's this kind of look like? Time of day. So if you guys don't, anybody knows anything about military time, 0, 100 is midnight, 1, 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m., all the way down. So it looks like most of them are happening around 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., 5 p.m., right? It's your normal business days, right? People think, oh, it's not going to happen at my work. Well, that's when most of them happen at work. And in days of the week, it can happen any day of the week. I mean, you got Sunday, 52 events happen on Sunday. Church, grocery store. I mean, I know we used to do our grocery shopping after church. We get off church and go do our grocery shopping. It can happen at the grocery store. So it can happen anywhere. So attack locations. Most common area, of course, people think, oh, it's got to be a school, right? Nope, businesses. Outdoors, schools. I would say churches would probably fall into to that 15% or so, probably majority churches in that other group. So it doesn't just happen in schools, but the media plays on that it's all in schools. It only happens at schools because they can pull on those heartstrings with children, right? Say, well, the children have been killed, and so we pull on the heartstrings to make it a bigger impact. Events, victims per event, we're just ravages around 3 or 4. It's not a big deal. What do you guys think the primary weapon is? Firearm? What type of firearm do you think it is? Most probably involved in these shootings. AR-15 long rifles? Wrong. It's pistols. Pistols is the majority because they're easier to conceal, they're easier to hide, they're easier to get into places. So, the media plays on the rifle aspect because they wanted to ban them, whatever. I'm not taking politics out of whatever it is. They wanted to ban assault rifles, but you look at the research, over 60% of the shootings all pistols for the most part. Now there might have been a shotgun or something added in there, or AR added in there or something, but majority of them are handled with just pistols. Because pistols you don't need probably as much training on as you would a AR platform or a rifle or something like that. It takes a little bit more training, so a lot of these people are inexperienced. They're just going to get whatever they can. They find a mom and dad's room, hey, they find a gun, I'm going to go shoot somebody with it because it's a handgun. The fleeing attackers, that just kind of shows you that sometimes, they're not always fleeing. They used to never flee or hardly any, but now you're seeing a more increase of the attackers shooting somebody or shooting a group of people and then they run off. And we have to track them down, of course. Some of them are, they go to other means of suicide or suicide by cop. They might wait for us to get there and wait for us to do our work and do what we got to do. But that's just the way it is. So what would you guys say an attacker looks like, an active shooter looks like? White guy about 20, 18, 15, something like that, school age, right? It could be anybody, correct? Anybody. There's no sex. There is. We'll talk about it. There's majority males, like 95% male, and there is females. Just women aren't physiologically and psychologically usually going to harm children, correct, or harm people. Women are loving people usually, but majority of the time they're not going to be the ones hurting people. So it's usually men. This right here, relationship, people think, oh, well, it's got to be that student, right? He's got to have some kind of, it's got to be, he got mad about his, Miss Smith gave him an F on his paper, and now he's upset, and the whole world's against him, right? Well, not by that. It's saying right there, majority of these shootings, there's no relationship at all. They just picked the easy target. They found a church or grocery store and said, hey, you know what? There's a lot of people here today. I can go kill whoever I want. Y'all remember the Las Vegas shooting a couple years back? I was in the tower, up in the hotel shooting down. Didn't have any relationship with that. He said, hey, there's going to be a lot of people out here today. I'm about to commence the killing. Now, his plan went to crap after a while, but, it got ruined, but that's a whole other story. But he had no relationship. He was a big gambler at that hotel. That's why he picked that hotel. He's a big-time gambler, spent millions upon millions of dollars. He's a very wealthy man. So that's why he got to pick whatever room he wanted to. So he found out what day it was going to happen. He said, hey, that room's going to be right outside of where this outside concert's going to be. I'm going to pick that room because I can just bust out the window and start shooting people. That was his plan. His real plan was there was a big gas tank about a quarter mile off, half a mile off. He's going to shoot that tank, propane tank, and blow everybody up. He's going to blow the whole entire concert up at once. Well, he was shooting that tank and it wasn't blowing up. So what did he do? He just started shooting people. That's just what he did. But like I said, there's not always a relationship. There's not always a connection to whatever business, school, church, anything like that. So don't think your congregation's just going to start shooting up places, okay? Not saying it can happen, but don't always think that. So like I said, males, 95, I would say 96, 97%. Usually it is a male, yes. They are usually white, Caucasian, some African American. This is just some stuff that's in there. But 57% of these attacks end before we get there. That means they could either be leaving, they can commit suicide, do whatever they want to do, have whatever plan they have. 43% end after we arrive. Of course, that's with us either. Sometimes they give up. Sometimes they just submit and they give up, say, hey, I'm just going to lay on the ground until the police get here. Usually it's us having to, take action and do what we got to do. So active shooters in churches, this is obviously a very important slide here. June 15th, Charleston, South Carolina, Bethel AME Church, right? That's the biggest one everybody thinks of here in South Carolina. Definitely pulls on the heartstrings. 9 people were killed by a gunman during a prayer service. We got Oak Creek, Wisconsin, the Sikh temple. I will go over that here in a little while. There's a very miraculous story I'll tell you about a guy who responded to that call. We'll talk about him in just a little bit, Lieutenant Brian Murphy. But Knoxville, Tennessee, you got Colorado, Neosho, Missouri. Anybody know where Neosho, Missouri is? I have no idea. So that's what I'm saying. It can happen anywhere. It doesn't have to be big cities, right? Detroit, Michigan, Brookfield, Wisconsin, Conception, Missouri, Lynbrook, New York. So there's quite a few. These are kind of spread out. They're not quite as prevalent as what you hear in schools and all that kind of stuff, but it does happen in churches. So this is the meat and potatoes, as we call it. As I'm from down here in the South, we say, oh, that's the meat and potatoes or something, right? We like meat and potatoes. So this is the whole meat and potatoes. This presentation is right here, what I'm about to talk about. So y'all been sleeping and, not paying attention, whatever. I sound like Charlie Brown's teacher up here. Womp, 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 womp. This is where you want to pay attention right here, okay? This is what's going to give you that mental preparedness, I'm going to give you some tips and some pointers and ideas and stuff to think about during any kind of situation, or get yourself prepared for these types of situations. So avoid, you may have heard the old run, hide, fight type mentality. Back in the day, they used to teach this, and it was run, hide, fight. Now we teach avoid, deny, defend. I like the avoid because I always make this joke, and it's the perfect time to do it in church. But anytime, you think of running, I'm a big guy. I can't run very fast. I ate a big lunch today. I ain't in the mood to run, right? But I can avoid somewhere. I need to move a little bit. I can go over here and move back there, move in this back room, whatever I got to do, I can avoid. On Sunday you miss service, right? You go to the store, and all of a sudden you see the pastor in the church in the store. What you gonna do? You're gonna avoid him, right? Oh, I'm gonna go down this aisle real quick. Let me get over here. Let me get my juice and get on out, right? You don't get stuck by the pastor, right? Wondering why you wasn't in church. So we say avoid because there's mindsets and ways of avoiding people without just having to just run. We don't want to just think of run automatically. Might not always be the option to run. You might have to avoid or get around a certain. I always also use the whole, remember old Scooby-Doo movies and shows where they run out one door, run across the hall, and the bad guy be chasing them, and they be going from one side to the other, and they avoiding them, kind of running across the hallway. That's the way I always look at it, avoid. So what do we mean by avoid? We want to leave as soon as possible. Ladies, I know you got your purse. I know you got your bag. I know you got all your stuff in there. That's your whole livelihood, right? Please leave your stuff. You can come back and get it. It's not worth losing your life over, okay? Please leave your stuff. I wouldn't even take a cell phone. You can take a cell phone if you want to. Nowadays, they're small, fit in your pocket. Everybody's got the smart watches and all that stuff. You can call 911 from that thing, right? But I don't want to call 911 by somebody's phone by accident. We had that one time. The instructor was doing it. It was like, you can call 911. And all of a sudden, his watch started calling 911. And we about had the whole police department, EMS, everybody there. So I try not to say it too loud. I don't want to cause any problems. So know your exits. Like I said, that mental preparedness. Go into a place. Script that. Look, okay, you got a door there. Okay, I know where my doors are at. Know your exits. Everybody here from Lexington, Richland County, this area, right? You can text 911. We have text 911. Put it in there at the top, like you got your phone. 911, text whatever you got. If you in a situation where you're locked down or you're trying to be quiet, hey, active shooter, New Bethel AME Church, I need police here now. Give a description of the shooter, be as descriptive as possible. So try to be, you can text, but also we always say if you're going to call, put it on speakerphone, lay it down. Keep your hands empty. We'll go through some of that reasons why to keep your hands empty here in a little while. But put it on speakerphone. You can talk to them just like this. Hey, I need police here for whatever reason. So put it on speakerphone. Consider secondary exits. Anybody know who that gentleman is right here, where that picture's from? Columbine High School. That young man's Patrick Ireland. He was shot 4 times, twice in the back of the head by the shooters in the library of Columbine High School. He's still alive to this day. If you ever get a chance to hear one of his documentaries or hear him speak, it's phenomenal. It's life-changing. He told himself that he was shot 4 times, that he wasn't going to die on the floor of that library. He said, I'm getting out. I'm on the 2nd floor. I'll crawl to the window and I'll get out. You can't see in that picture, those 2 SWAT officers are standing on top of an ambulance to reach him. And if you ever see the video, he literally he gets to the window and he's so out of everything, he just flops right over, and they literally catch him and he falls on top of them, and they get him out. At that time, they didn't know that the shooters had already killed themselves and were already dead. But at that point in time, there was a whole situation going down. But he told himself he wasn't going to die. He climbed out and fell out that window. So why not? If I got to jump out a 2nd-story window, I'll do it. Save my life. I'll do what I got to do. I'll take a broke leg over losing my life any day. All right, avoiding the shooter, what should you do? Okay, don't live in denial. Like I said, don't remember that, hey, somebody chopping wood in the church. What's going on? What are they building on to, Don't always have that mindset. Have something different, thinking, hey, that sounds like it might be a gunshot. Anybody in here ever heard a gunshot inside of a house or a building or anything? It muffles. It's hard to understand what it is, but I always had that mindset to think, that could be a gunshot. Let me go get out of here real quick and just see what's going on. Maybe call the police, whatever I got to do, okay? If you hear shots, of course, call 911. Always know where your exits are. Some of the same stuff. You see, I keep hitting on the same things here. Know your exits. Call 911, that kind of stuff. Leave your personal items. Leave your purses, whatever you got. Don't let people go towards the shooter. So if there's a shooter over this door over here and I'm going out that way and y'all start passing me in the aisle, we're going to have some problems, right? Somebody going the wrong way. I'm going to grab everybody and say, hey, there's no guy shooting that way. Let's go down here. Get everybody. Don't let somebody go back towards the shooting, because hey, I just saw a guy. I heard gunshots back that way. I'm not going that way. Y'all don't need to go that way either. Let's go this way. So, remember I said call 911 if you have to. Leave it on speakerphone and keep your hands empty, right? Keep your hands visible at all times, because what are law enforcement looking for when we go into one of these situations? We're looking for a man with a gun, right? If I'm standing here with a phone and all of a sudden I say, it's a dark room, I don't know what's going on, I don't know where, it's a dark room or something like that, it could look like a gun to me, This might look like a gun, it's got metal on it, it shines a little bit. So we always tell you to keep your hands empty, keep them clear. Try to, if you want to walk around with your hands up like this, we always tell people to just, put them on the back of their head or something like that. Just put them on top of your head, a little bit more comfortable than sitting up here like this for 25, 30 minutes as you're walking through the hallways. If you encounter an officer, don't stop them, don't ask for directions. You probably know the layout of this church better than I do. I've been here for 35 minutes? Y'all know where everything's at. Don't be asking me for no directions. I don't know where I'm at, right? Because we got 1 or 2 things in mind, and we'll get over that in just a second, what we got going on in our mindset, what we're planning there to do. So we're not going to be a whole lot of answering directions and how to get out of Walmart. Listen to us if we give you an order, because we look at that as if we tell you, we come into this room right here, we're like, everybody get on the ground or show us your hands. You don't, my focus is on you. Okay, why ain't she putting her hands up? Why ain't he putting his hands up? because you look like a threat at that point in time. Because I've given a lawful order, lawful command to put your hands up. It's an active shooter event. I'm looking for somebody with a gun, and they're just sitting over there like hat down, not paying attention. Hey, we're gonna have a problem. Hey, look at me. I need you to. You might be in shock, which we'll work through all that, but we'll. But that's what we're looking for. We're looking for that compliance. We're looking for somebody to listen and do what we ask them to do. Don't move wounded people unless you're trained to do so. You can end up, of course, hurting them more severely, stuff like that. There's ways, if you know first aid or know how to stop the bleed, which we also teach a class about that as well at the town of Lexington, about stopping the bleed, tourniquet application. You can do some of that stuff if you know how to do it, but just don't move people because sometimes, you don't know where the shooter's at. You might be walking them right into somewhere to another room, and there might be a shooter there. And no matter what is occurring, try to stay as calm as possible. I don't understand why I put that on there because ain't nobody going to stay calm. Everybody going to be screaming, hollering, praising Jesus, whatever they got to do, praying, however they got to do it, they're going to do it. So denial, what's this sound like? Lock the doors, lights out of sight. All my teachers in here. Sound like a lockdown drill at the school, don't it? It's what we teach all the kids these days. I got 2 kids go to Lexington Elementary School, so anytime we do a lockdown drill there, I try to do it just so I can go see their class, and I go there and say, hey, buddy, how you doing, And my kids think it's hide and seek. They get in the corner, and they're like, we're about to win this. We're going to go over here. We're going to lay down behind this mat. We're going to put all this stuff on top of us. We hide in the corner. And they do that. They are very good at it because I've taught them over and over and over and over and over again. It's the same exact stuff, how to stay out of sight, get away from the windows, lock his doors as much as possible. And, of course, if you can't lock the doors, your door don't lock or whatever lock's broke, there's certain ways to do it. You got ropes, tactical clinch, it's out to open the door. Heck, even maybe holding that door closed if you got to, Pull on it, hold on it. And we might sit there and play tug of war with the door, but guess what? He's not shooting people. I'm distracting him, right? He's not killing nobody. And eventually he might shoot through that door, so I wouldn't suggest that, but find a way to close that door. Maybe delay him long enough so somebody can get out the exits. Everybody can get out the exits, and then you drop and make a run for it, whatever you got to do. Inward opening doors, I like this one. Them little door wedges, right? You just kick them up under the door, pop the door open. Those are perfect. They stop. You trying to push against that thing and it's rubber against the wood floor or concrete floor. It's almost impossible to get through that thing. But if we don't have that, like a barricade, right? I don't know if these pews they're screwed to the floor, aren't they? We can find something. We put some chairs over there. We'll put everything we can in front of that door to keep somebody from coming in there, right? Because the heavier is the better, the more the better. And what is it? What is that? If you got stuff barricading the door, right? They can't get in that room. It's time dependent. What do those active shooters want to do? Kill as many people as fast as possible, right? So the longer you can keep them distracted by trying to get into the room or into the building, the better. Because they ain't going to be shooting and killing nobody. All right, denying the shooter, recommended actions. This is some of the same stuff I'm preaching to you guys right now. Move people to a place in a room where they can't be seen, of course, in another room or a closet, whatever you got to lock them down in. Keep everyone quiet. Don't open the door. So this is a big one. We tell our teachers in our schools not to open the door. Even if I come up and say, hey, Miss Smith, it's Detective Matthews of the town of Lexington, open the door. I'll sit there not for 25 minutes. She ain't going to let me in. Why? I could be the shooter, right? I could be the one that say, hey, it's Chief Green out here. Everybody knows Chief Green. It's Chief Green. Come open the door up. Guess what? If we need to get in that room, we got a key. We'll find a key. We'll get in the wire. We'll break the door down. We got Halligan tools. We got all the fun stuff. We got a big old size 12 foot. We can put in that thing, kick it open if we got to, right? We'll get in there if we need to. So if somebody's knocking at the door saying, please, don't open the door. Let them sit there. There's even a story of, it wasn't Parkland, it was one of the other schools. Teacher had all their students in the bathroom, and SWAT team come in there and bust up in there, and she was in the bathroom. They had the bathrooms in the classrooms. And the SWAT team officers was like, hey, is the police department open the door? She said, nope, I don't believe you guys. I don't believe it. She's like, show me some other way. So he took his badge wallet out. We all law enforcement officers carry a badge wallet. We got our badge. We have to. By state law, we got to keep our credentials on us. They slid it under the door. Said, here you go, man. We're law enforcement. You can see it right here. Still didn't believe him. That'd have been enough for me. I'd be like, yeah, come on in the house, It took till them to open up their radio, take their earpiece out, turn the radio on, to have dispatch say something over the radio to confirm who this officer was for her to finally open that door up to get the kids to safety. Luckily, there was none of them injured in there, so it wasn't time-oriented. They took the time. They were there. It took them like an hour to get into that bathroom just to try to talk to her to kind of get them to understand. But that's what we say, don't open the door. Of course, call 911. Disregard all alarms and fire drills. I say that. Obviously, use common sense. You start seeing smoke filling up in here, and start getting low. You see some flames outside. You might need to get out, right? But like I said, I was talking about my victim a little while ago, Peter Wayne. Shooter pulled the fire alarm. Why was that? Get everybody out of the classrooms, out in the hallway, right? Get them outside. Easy pickings. Start shooting. So if you look, fire alarm stuff's going on. Don't be that one to immediately run out the door. Okay, we got to go, right? I'll give it a few minutes. Okay, what we got? Okay. Ain't getting hot in here. I don't see no smoke. Might be somebody trying to pull. I heard some gunshots. Sound like somebody's chopping wood. Maybe they didn't start a fire outside. Well, hold on. Chopping wood at the church. Pulling the fire alarm at the church. Let me see. Something ain't right here. This ain't right. We don't chop no firewood in the church. We ain't fire alarms going on, but I don't see no smoke. Think about that, okay? I'm not saying sit there and wait 25 minutes till you start seeing the smoke building up, but, of course, touch the fire. Remember the old touch the door, knob, see if it's hot. Okay, yeah, we got a fire. It's hot. We need to find another way out. But I say disregard those fire alarms because you never know what the intentions are. Shooter might be pulling in fire alarms or something like that. Account for one another, okay? I know everybody in here would account for each other if we had a situation. My first objection is to get you guys to safety. Or obviously if there's an active shooter or something, I'll go handle what I got to do to get you guys to safety later. And follow directions given to you by law enforcement, okay? Defend. Who's in here was ever taught? I was taught at a young age. My daddy taught me young. Ain't but one way to fight, right? That's fight to win, right? Correct? So that's what I'm talking about. Defend. Somebody busts up in here with a gun and we ain't got, and I'm not here in law enforcement capacity. Guess what? 4 or 5 of us bum rush him, take care of him, right? Knock him down on the ground. You sit on him, stand on him, whatever we got to do. Gouge, punch, pull his teeth, whatever we got, do something. Right? We're gonna get on him. So we stay at position and grab the gun. Of course, you get one person on each side. As soon as he comes through the door, try to grab the gun, get control of that gun, because that's their method of how to kill people, or a knife, or whatever they got. Try to take over that. And of course, fight, social proof. Everybody remembers 9/11, correct? Remember the plane that landed in Pennsylvania, never made it to the towers, or made it to I think its original destination was the White House. Never made it there, because what happened? 3 or 4 of the passengers got up and said, this ain't about to happen on our watch. We taking control. They fought back, took control of that plane. Now, yes, they did crash the plane, and everybody died, but they wasn't going down just going down. They were going out with a fight. So maybe somebody that steps up and say, hey, we got to do something. We can't sit here and let this happen. Let's take action. So I remember talking about the Sikh temple a little while ago in Oak Creek, Wisconsin, right? This is Lieutenant Brian Murphy. And that shooting happened. There was multiple shots and fire. The shooter had some kind of connection with the church. He went in there, started shooting, shot the main pastor. I don't know if it's a pastor or whatever it is. But he ends up shooting people. There's children everywhere. He's shooting people. Well, they're going through the building. He comes up to the kitchen, and at the kitchen there's a big bay window over the sink. And so he's commenced to doing his action. He goes to turn, and there's a pantry at the end of this hall, at the end of the kitchen. So he goes to turn, and about that time he sees blue lights pulling into the parking lot. And says, okay, well, the police are here now, so now I'm getting delayed, right? So he goes out, engages the fire, engages the officers arriving on scene. First one he shoots is Lieutenant Brian Murphy. Lieutenant Brian Murphy was shot 14 times. First shot, literally shot his thumb, almost shot his thumb completely off of his shooting fingers. Now he can't even get his gun out of his holster. Because we all have maneuvers, he couldn't even get his gun out of his holster. He ended up taking a few more to his vest, rolled up under a car, and while he was under the car, this is what he told himself. He said, I'm not going out in the parking lot. I'm not going out like this. I'm not going to let my wife down. I'm not going to let my daughter down. And I'm not going to let my stepkids down. For somebody to be shot 14 times, and that's what they got in their mind, that man had his mindset right. Well, the most miraculous thing about that is he was shot 14 times, and when that shooter was coming around that corner to go shoot that pantry, there was 14 people in that pantry. He took a bullet for each one of them. He's still survived. He's still alive. That's him after his scars with his neck and all his surgery and everything else. He's still alive to this day. That's a hero right there. I don't know if y'all, that's a hero to me all day long. But he's got a miraculous story. He's on a couple documentaries and everything else. But if you ever get a chance to look him up, his story is miraculous. So, number of deaths depend on a few things. We throw this in there: how quickly the police arrive, target availability, which is that lockdown, kind of keeping them busy. 3 minutes. What y'all think 3 minutes stands for? How long a shooting lasts? Something like that. That's the national average for how long it takes law enforcement to arrive to an active shooter event. You say, hey, 3 minutes ain't that bad. When the bullets are flying, 3 minutes is a long time. Trust me on that. That's 3 minutes from the time we get dispatched, when the call comes through our radio, for me to get in my car, throw that thing in drive 100 miles an hour to get here, and then to get on scene to stop the shooting, to stop the killing. Ain't no telling what he's been doing before that, right? He started shooting. We got on. We called 911. We barricaded ourselves. You're sitting there talking to some new dispatcher, new call taker. She's never dealt with a situation like this. She's over there freaking out. She's punching in the wrong address, all the wrong information, everything. She's panicking. I got to get this call out there. It's about 15 minutes. It's normal average response time to a situation like this. All in all, from when the shooting starts to when it's over, is going to be about 15 minutes. 15 minutes is a long time. Be waiting somewhere with somebody with a gun and somebody wanting to cause some harm, right? So that's why we say get these preparedness. Barricade the door if you got to. Stop what you got to do. Take action. Fight back. So our primary goal as law enforcement officers, we're going to be save as many lives as possible. And by doing that, the 3 things we focus on in this exact order: stop the killing, stop the dying, and rapid casualty evacuation. Me and Todd Ziegler at Town Lexington, we teach this to all of our officers every single year. We go through a class to teach this. We put on vests, we put on masks, we shoot simunition rounds at each other because we practice these scenarios. We practice this type of stuff. So we practice them, hey, stop the killing. So if I was to walk into this church and there was somebody laying right there in that door, bleeding out, begging me for help, but I still hear gunshots going off out there, I got to step over you. I got to go stop the killing. Because if I start working on you, but he's back there still killing 10 more people, I got to go do what I got to do. So that's what our thing is. We're going to stop the killing. We're going to stop the dying, and then we're going to try to get people out as much as possible. And that stop the dying is doing the medical, applying tourniquets, doing what we can to save your life. That's the whole stop the dying aspect. So what will cops do? We'll come in hard and fast, armored up. I have a little bit more gel in my hair. My gel's kind of worked out today because I've been working around. I get my hair. Usually, I used to have it all slicked to the sides. That used to be a fun comment to make. I used to slick it over to the side a little bit. But, wife likes it a little curly, so I try to, spoof it up a little bit for the old lady. We'll be in small groups, moving consistently, constantly. We'll be moving. We're clearing, trying to look for that threat. We're looking for that person shooting. We'll be aggressive, short on conversation. We ain't going to sit and move. We might ask you, hey, what's he look like? Where's the shooter? What way did he go? Clothing description, something like that. If you can try to give it to us, that'd be great. But we're not going to stop and talk. We're going to keep moving. We'll be just as savage as those around us. We'll be trained to respond. We will not argue. We'll not reason with you. We will simply act. So if I come in, like I said, I come in that room, you don't put your hands up. I tell you to put your hands up. I might politely escort you to the ground, as I would write it in my incident report. I would politely ask you, escort you to the ground. What am I really going to do? I'm going to put you on the ground. However I got to do it. Body slam, suplex, Hulk Hogan special, whatever I got to do, you going on the ground. We will not politely ask you to move. We'll put you on the ground, like I said. We'll do what we got to do. We'll apologize. We'll kumbaya afterwards, and I'll go buy you a steak dinner. I'll make you feel better, whatever I got to do. But in that situation, I'm there to get control of that scene, right? I ain't got time to sit there and argue. So what will you do? You will be absolutely terrified. You'll do one of several things. You'll flee, you'll fight, you'll falter, you'll freeze. That's just your natural body reaction. That's just a natural reaction. You can't control it. You might tell yourself every single day of the week, I'm the baddest dude around. I'm going to fight everybody. Let somebody bust up in here. We're going to fight. When them bullets start flying, all of a sudden you like deer in the headlights, right? You don't know what your body's going to do. You're going to do one of several things. So a training will have a direct effect. Like I said, you're going to revert back to that lowest level of training. The chances of surviving any dangerous situation. How you interact with law enforcement can have a direct impact on your safety. Like I said, we don't ever come into a situation thinking everybody's got a gun and all that kind of stuff. We're not immediately thinking that. But for you to stand there with your hands up, you do exactly what we tell you to do is your best way of getting out of that situation unharmed as all possible when we come through. Recommended actions, put down any items. Like I said, some of this stuff's repetitive. I'm telling y'all some of the same stuff because there's certain points we're trying to harp on. When officers come into the room, you're in, immediately drop to the floor. You can drop to the floor, put your hands on top of your head, and just remain quiet. Like I said, we're looking for hands. We're looking for hands that hurt us. That's what hurt us. That's what we're always taught. Do not point and scream. I might scream back. You call me a name, I might call you a name. It's just my natural reaction. Be a good witness. When asked, provide the location of the shooter, what he or she is carrying, clothing description, best physical description as possible, number of victims if you know them. Say, hey, we just had 10 buddies just run out of here. We don't know if they're okay or not. We can say, oh yeah, those are the 10 we just ran past. We were running in here. They're perfectly fine. They're running to the rally point. Something like that. You know, we're trying to give us so we can find out who the shooter is. Because Parkland, Florida, I keep harping on it because that's where my victim's from. Parkland, Florida, shooter changed his clothes. Brought to change his clothes, left, got out with the crowd. Wasn't until a good patrolman about 5 miles away saw a gentleman walking down the sidewalk looking very suspicious, very antsy, very shaky, pale as a ghost, like he'd just been through something. So he goes to stop and get out with it. He runs into a subway, sits at the table, tries to put his hat down like he didn't do nothing. That officer actually was the one he didn't know it at the time, but he was looking death in the face. He was looking at the shooter. He said, hey, I need you to stand up, put your hands behind your back, detain him. Come to find out, he ended up confessing, saying, yes, I was the one shooting. Like I said, I'm not going to say his name, because I'll never say any of them's name. They don't deserve recognition. So like I said, that's why we asked for that. Hey, what was he wearing? You know, he may have changed clothes, but at least we got a little bit of a description. So if we find those same clothes laying on the ground, we can say, hey, here's the clothes the shooter was wearing. He's changed clothes now. Now he's somewhere out there. We got to find him. So, of course, we put that bottom part in there about engage your leadership. That's if, like, businesses have policies about not fighting. Like some schools, they don't allow their teachers to fight back, which I think's easy on my point. Like, hey, Mama Bear, you got a teacher in the classroom, Mama Bear's going to take care of her cubs, right? She's going to fight. We do some of these lockdown drills, and a couple times, you know, we got the keys, so when we're done, we knock on it. They don't answer, so we open up the door. And one time, I'm not even joking, I had Grandma standing there. I say Grandma, she's 50. She's standing there with a stapler. She's got it ready. She's sitting there with a stapler, ready to just light me up with some staples. When I came to that room, I said, whoa, you hold on now. She's about to shoot me up with them staples. Now, they wasn't going to hurt. I'd have just been like, quit doing that. I've had teachers standing there. They had a baseball bat. They had all kinds of stuff. They're ready to fight. And that's a good mindset. Some schools don't allow them to do that. So that's why we say, engage your leadership for directions on how to respond to those events. All right, Virginia Tech. So Virginia Tech, it kind of stands up there in my aspect of, everybody remembers Uvalde shooting a couple years ago, right? All the law enforcement guys were just stacked up in the hallway. They were trying to get their tactical team set up and how they were going to go in there and stop the shooting as they're hearing active gunfire going off, right? What if I told you the entire time the classroom they were trying to break into, getting Halligan tools and all that stuff, was unlocked? The entire time. All they had to do was open the door, go in there and shoot bad guy, put him down. We practice that. We train that with our officers all the time. We have situations where there's somebody in there shooting people, and you'll see sometimes they just run right past it. They don't think about it, but they check that doorknob. We always tell them, check the handle, see if it's unlocked, try to get in that room. So Virginia Tech's kind of on that aspect for me, because originally, shooter goes to a dormitory, follows a young girl to a dormitory, shoots her, kills her. Her friend hears the shooting next door, comes to check on her. So what happened? Shooter shoots him. It's a man and a woman. Police think, oh, it's just a murder-suicide. It's a domestic situation gone bad. It's an isolated incident. They don't even put the school on lockdown or nothing. They just say, hey, everything's good, everything's fine. We don't need to worry about sending out an alert to the school, to anybody. It's a murder-suicide. It's all isolated. What he didn't know is the shooter was actually going to his dorm, across the campus, and making his manifesto, changing his clothes, getting his arsenal of weapons together, because he had other plans. This was just the beginning of it. So I usually have a clicker, and it's too high up in the screen, but about where the bottom of that V at on Virginia is where the dormitory started, where the shooting happened. And then we're going to talk about Norris Hall, which is down a little bit on the bottom right-hand side, which is Norris Hall. So the thing about Norris Hall is it was an old building, didn't have any locks on the outside of the door, or on the classroom doors, didn't have locks, anything like that. You can see those old wood panel doors with the wrought iron handles on it, right? It doesn't have much of a lock. It is, it's an old lock. So this shooter, he had his plan. He was going to go shoot Norris Hall up. So what did he do? The day before, he went to Norris Hall to time himself how long it would take him to get from that dormitory to Norris Hall to commence his shooting. He goes inside of Norris Hall, changed the door shut from the inside. Why would he change the doors up from the inside? Right? Plan on keeping people in, or keeping what? The police out, right? We can't get in, we can't stop him. He can do what he wants. So he goes and changes the door shut and then leaves. He goes out of secondary entrance or something. So the maintenance guy comes through and he's cleaning up Norris Hall after everybody's gone through and sees the door's chained shut. And he's like, the heck are the doors chained shut for? Cuts the chain off, throws the chain away, doesn't think nothing about it, don't alert nobody, nothing. The day before the shooting happened. What was he doing? He was preparing himself, right? The shooter was going, this is my plan. I'm going to chain these doors shut and I'm going to shoot as many people as I can. Like I said, I'm not money more quarterbacking, but if that maintenance man would have called somebody and said, hey, why are the doors of Norris Hall chained shut? There ain't no reason for that, right? It would have put maybe some people on high alert and say, hey, somebody's planning on doing something. It ain't something good. You chain the door shut, it ain't never a good thing. So that could have probably put police on a little bit higher alert. So he goes into Norris Hall, goes to the second floor. He goes into the first room, which is, they're numbered. As you can see, 206, 204, 211, 207, 205. He goes in the first room and at the top, comes up the stairwell, goes in that first room. That's where he dons on all of his equipment. He puts his arsenal on, he puts his vest on, puts his black clothing, everything on. He literally changed clothes right there. Got all his weapons out. Started to commence the shooting and killing. So he went to room 206 first. And each one of these rooms he tries to go back into, and actually goes back into multiple times. 206, each one of those red dots is somebody that died. The yellow dots are somebody that was injured, and the green are somebody that survived. So going to the next room, 207. Well, you got 5 that died, 5 that were injured, 2 survived. 211, everybody in 211 was shot. Some of them died, some of them lived. I took the video out of here because it's just too long. But there's a young lady named Christina Anderson. She was a survivor. She's one of the yellow dots up there. But she's a hero. I mean, she survived. But we'll talk about it and why hiding is not a good thing. Okay? She played dead. Playing dead is not an option. Okay? She played dead in that room, and the shooter came back in that room 3 times. Left, went all the way down the hallway, came back 3 times. What could she have done? Tried to get up, maybe leave, jump out the window, something, right? Like I said, I'm not money more than a quarterback in anything. But if it's an opportunity for other people to learn, to take something away from it, we can learn on that, right? We can live with that. So she was shot. She survived. She was shot. I think she was shot like 3 times. I think once in the back of the head. The thing about that shooter is he was planning on people to play dead. He was seen at a shooting range about a week or 2 prior doing this. Shooting at the ground. What's that practicing? Shooting people laying on the ground, right? That was his plan. He knew that people weren't going to fight back, weren't going to do anything. They were just going to lay there, and he was just going to have his pick of the litter and just start shooting people. Well, miraculously, room 204, you see that? That's an arrow pointing out the window, and 10 people got out that window. And there, you see there's a red dot right there at that door where that door opens up. That's Professor Liviu Labrescu. He was a Holocaust survivor. He held that door shut so that 10 of his students could jump out of the 2nd story window to safety. A couple of them might have, broke a leg or something here and there, but they got out safe. The other ones were lined up as they were trying to get out. As the shooter was shooting through the door at the professor, they shot the professor, killed him, and started shooting the rest as they were trying to get out of the room. They still got out, other than the professor and one other student actually perished. And 205 is a miraculous story. 205. Shooter was denied access into 205. Why is that? It's 2 people said, hey, we fighting back. We ain't doing this. We ain't about to barricade this door. So these classrooms were older classrooms. All the furniture, desks, and everything were bolted to the floor, so they really couldn't pick anything up and barricade it. So they had the pew there, the teacher standing behind the podium and all that stuff and talking. Well, it was bolted to the floor, so what these 2 gentlemen did is one of them put his feet, laid on his back, put his feet against the door. There's an inward opening door, so he put his feet against the door. The other one put his feet on his shoulders, laid down, and pushed himself against the podium and made like a human wedge. Every single person in that room didn't even get shot. The shooter never made it through, nothing. They made a human wedge. They very fast and very quick thinking. I wouldn't have thought of that, but they did. And they saved everybody inside their classroom. So, like I said, hide and hope. We don't want to do that. We're not going to sit there and hide under the desk. Like I said, we're going to avoid like we avoiding the preacher on Sunday afternoon after not going to church, right? we're going to avoid, we're going to deny, we're going to defend. Do what we got to do. You're not hopeless. This is some stuff, I don't know. So this is like a kind of like a little bit of a graph you can look at it as, and kind of gives you a little bit of idea of what to think. But the attack starts. Do we have access to our primary exits, the exit we came into, right? Say if yes, okay, avoid, run, get out. If not, now it's time to deny or hide or do that lockdown drill or wedge to, start doing something. Go out a secondary exit, jump out a window. The next one's other exits. If you have other exits, windows, go out. Yes, avoid, run, get out. If not, then it's time to fight. This doesn't have sound, but it's not really a real video. It basically is just saying that if people would talk up, this is put on by the Sandy Hook, families of Sandy Hook. They're basically saying, this is a news article, the lady saying, tomorrow there will be a shooting at this school, 14 people will die, basically saying, hey, we predicted this to happen. So like, it talks about, he was bullied, and he had a gun, he talked about bringing a gun to school and all this other stuff, right? They saw these warning signs in this person. Said, hey, something's off about him, he's being bullied, he's saying he's got a gun at home, he said he wants to hurt people, stuff like that. So they basically said, hey, we saw this coming, but they never said anything. That's exactly what happened at Sandy Hook. The person who committed that shooting, there were warning signs. He made manifestos that he wanted to come back and kill his former classmates and kill his former teachers and stuff like that. So the reason why we put that in there is that it's a eye-opener to say, hey, if you see something suspicious, say it, okay? And people always say, well, okay, I've got a neighbor that's, likes to scream and holler a lot. Yeah, call us, do whatever you got to do. But, of course, if you know your congregation better than anybody, you see one day that, somebody that's very social, very interactive with the rest of the congregation just sits in the back one day and just kind of got his head down, pulls his hat down, puts a hood on, whatever. Something ain't right? We know these people every single day. We see them all the time. So we know something's not right. Might be a time to say, hey, let's get a couple guys and maybe bring them forward. We can have a conversation. And a lot of times, these people, before they do this, they're looking for help. They want to say something. They want to get it out there. They have a desire and need to say something. But the time just never comes for them to get forward in front of somebody and say something. So we always try to say to contact that person and try to reach out to them, try to make them a little bit better. But that QR code is probably a little bit outdated. That used to be my business card. I have a current business card, a different one. I have a couple here I can give you in my wallet. But if you guys ever need anything, I can come back and teach this presentation tomorrow, and I'd be completely happy with it because I love doing it every single day. This is a passion of mine. Like I said, I've taken this upon myself to come and teach it. I've taught it to one person. I was telling Mr. Jones, I've taught this class to one person before. Sitting in the PD, we had 15 people sign up, one person showed up. Did I cancel the class? Nope. I sat right there and taught it. Because why? Because one life I can change, right? I can teach that one person. They might take something from this and go tell their friends or take it back to their school or their job and say, hey, you know what? I took this class with this detective. He's a funny-looking fella, kind of heavy-set, look like he likes to eat cheeseburgers and french fries. But he taught me some stuff that I learned, and I'm definitely going to take this stuff back. So if you guys can take anything back, or you guys ever want me to come back and teach this, or me or Todd or any of these other people, please reach out, let us know. We'll be more than glad to come teach it. We host a class. I think we're about to start. I think he's about to start back up doing like a monthly class where we'll do like a Wednesday, Thursday, where one night we'll do craze, and the second night we'll do stop the bleed. So if you want to come get the medical aspect, and it's not like we ain't gonna put the suits on you and shoot at you with the pellets and all that stuff, but we'll get up, we'll do a little wound packing, and we'll work on some tourniquets. So if that's ever anything that interests you guys or interests anybody that wants to do it, feel free to reach out to me or Todd Ziegler at the police department. Get in touch with Chief Green. He knows how to get. He literally walked up to me one day and said, hey, I need you to go down here and teach this class. I said, absolutely. You ain't got to tell me twice. I'll do it. No matter what time. So if you ever need anything from us, let us know. We'll be more than glad to help you guys out, okay? Anybody got any questions? Or I always open it up to questions. I never have a problem with saying, hey, I got a scenario, situation or anybody. I'm always down for it. I know they got a microphone they can pass around if you can't holler loud enough. I got good ears, so just yell at me. Yes, sir.
After the tragedy of Mother Emanuel, most churches was posting signs like "No guns allowed." It was that effect is that's no longer.
So it is with the you're talking about the new open carry laws and all that stuff and stuff like that. It's still a federal offense to go into any. You can't go into any government buildings, schools, churches. All that stuff's still in play. You can't take an open firearm without the church's permission. I know some churches, they have security teams that allow people to carry guns. But that's still covered under the law. The open carry is basically just if I wanted to walk into the grocery store, walk into your common place, and my personal opinion, it's a dumb idea because you're now target number one. Somebody wants to do something, they're going to take the guy out disarmed before they, it's kind of like us as police officers. We are seen to somebody wanting to commit crimes or do something bad, we're seen as a threat, so they're going to take us out before they take everybody else out because we're the first ones going to stop them. So I don't believe in open carry and all that stuff going into the grocery store. That's my personal opinion. But no, it's still illegal for them to bring it into a church without the church's permission. So of course, if somebody shows up here with a gun and, hey, we don't know this guy, or we never gave him permission to carry a gun, call the police department, we'll come out there. It's still against the law. He can be looking at some kind of charges or something. But it's still technically illegal for them to carry a gun inside of a church or a government building. I think libraries, schools, stuff like that. The same restrictions still apply for that.
Also, places where you can go in where you're not to. Those buildings.
Yeah, he's asking about like if you see posted like no guns allowed, you know, with a gun through it and all stuff like at a grocery store. Yeah, those places are basically asking you not to. It's kind of hard to. Some of that stuff's kind of hard. The laws vary. When they created that law, they put way too much stuff in it, but it's hard to understand. But if basically that business is saying, hey, no guns allowed, you're still by law supposed to. Hey, okay, this might be the time I take my gun off, leave it in the car, or put it in a secure safe or something, put it in the trunk before I go into this business, because they can still call. We come out there, you know, we talk to the person, say, hey, you know, they're asking you not to carry a gun here. I know you want to carry your gun, but if you're going to do that, you got to leave, because they don't want you here. They're saying they strictly on the door it says no guns allowed. We don't want guns here. So that gives us the lawful reason to say, hey, you got to leave. You can't be here. They don't want you with a gun here. You got to get out. So that's it's still in effect. It's still in effect even with the open carry. Yes, sir. So, I mean, the license to carry, I always recommend it because it gives you extra training. The way the current laws read is that anybody over the age of 18 can carry a gun, no matter what training they've had. Just because Grandpa took them to the backyard when they were 10 years old and showed them how to shoot a gun, and they ain't held a gun in 10 years, that they can now carry a gun. So if you go, they still offer concealed weapons classes. I think SLED does a couple, Lexington County does it some. But you're getting that extra training. It never hurts to have more training. If you're going to carry a gun, or you think you're, okay, I want to carry a gun, but you can still carry it concealed. There's nothing illegal against it, carrying it concealed, but you have to have that permit to carry it concealed. You can carry it open without a permit. Doesn't make any sense to me. If I'm going to carry it open, I don't have to have a permit, but to carry it concealed, I do have to have a permit. The laws are all, it's crazy. But I always recommend taking some kind of firearms class, go to a range, let somebody teach you how to shoot a gun. But one thing, like I said, I'll go back to the presentation a little bit, is that if you do have a gun, you're in a Walmart, in the church, in wherever. I keep saying Walmart because it's just our biggest, like, everybody knows Walmart's at Lexington. So I always say Walmart. You go in there and you say, I got my gun on me today, and bad guy comes in there and starts shooting people. Well, I shoot bad guy. And I'm standing there with a gun, and now 18 people are calling the police saying somebody just shot somebody. They ain't telling nobody that, hey, a good Samaritan shot this guy. They're just saying, hey, we seen somebody shoot somebody that shot somebody. So now you standing there with a gun, right? And the police bust up in there, you probably gonna get shot. I hate to say it. you gonna get shot. So what we always recommend is you do that shooting and you put bad guy down, I can still see him. I'm gonna set the gun down on the counter and I'll stand back away from it, put my hands up and sit there and say, call 911. Say, whatever you got to do. Hey, I shot a bad guy, seen some guy shooting some people. I shot him. I'm wearing a gray polo shirt and some black slacks. I'll be standing there with my hands on top of my head. Give a description of what we know we're coming into. So if you put that bad guy down and you've done work, you've done good work, in my opinion. You stop the killing. Get that gun out of your hands, whether it's holstering up, putting it back in your holster, laying it on the table, stepping away from it, don't stand right next to it. I can still watch bad guys, so if he starts acting a fool, again, I can stay down, bow, you know, shoot him again if I got, not I'm saying go crazy with it, you know, let the whole clip loose. But he starts grabbing for a gun and starts turning or something again, you can put another, you know, do what you got to do. But I always say get that gun out of your hand because we come to that situation. We don't know who's the shooter. All we know is somebody shot somebody and now we see a guy standing there with a gun. So that's one thing I always give a recommendation for that.
One more.
Yes, sir.
If we're here on Sunday morning, any church, I have to be in Bethel. I am. And what one thing should be, if a shooter comes in this back door, what's the first thing you recommend that our congregation do if the shooter's coming in the back door?
So if he's coming in that back door, I mean, it's hard to say. It's hard to game any situation because every situation is different. Like I said, we teach these types of situations to our officers every single year. We run the same exact scenarios every single year, and we still get different outcomes every single year because you don't know what's going on in each individual officer's mindset, right? Same thing with your congregation. We don't know what their mindset is. They might not have had their cup of coffee that morning, they kind of dragging, you know, dozing off in the back room. All of a sudden, somebody pops through. They might not be as quick to react to get up and fight or to grab that gun or jump on that guy, whatever they got to do. But I would also suggest, I mean, if they're close to the door, get out. Get away as fast as possible. Get out. I mean, I wouldn't say there's any reason and don't try to talk him down or anything like that because if he's actively shooting, he listening to you, he's got gunshots going on. So try to get out, run, get out as much quick as possible. I mean, you got some guys that want to fight and take action, do what you got to do, but it's kind of like I said, it's hard to game those situations. All I can say is, of course, it kind of comes in that order: avoid, deny, and defend. Do what you got to do. Try to get out. That's the first thing. Get out. Get away from the situation. If you have like a rally point or something, you say, hey, everybody gets out, go to the mailbox, or go down to the other end of the street, go down by the new little parking lot down by the park. So. But it's hard to game those situations.
Running away from the fires is probably a given.
Yeah.
You don't want to run to the fire.
Yeah. So you just try to. It's hard to understand. 9 times out of 10, they're most likely not just going to bust up in there and start shooting. They're going to probably sit down and, unfortunately, like the Mother Emanuel Church in Charleston, he went into the church service and sat down and had a whole prayer service with the people, with the victims, and just decided to get up and start shooting. So there's always going to be possible those warning signs where you see this guy, okay, I've never seen this guy before, he's never came in our church, and now all of a sudden he's sitting in the back row with his hood on, with his head down. I'd be like, if I was the pastor, hey, everybody, greet our new friend that just came into the church. Now you putting all the attention on him. And what's he want? No attention at all until the shooting starts, or until the shooting's over. So put all the attention on him. That might kind of deter him to say, you know what, okay, everybody's watching me, they didn't know what's going on, something, I'm going to get out of here, I'm going to leave. So, like I said, all those situations are different. It's hard to game those situations, but just try to think it through. I mean, have that mental preparedness to say, if you're sitting in, even anybody, if you're sitting in church one day and all of a sudden somebody comes up in here, what am I going to do? What would I do? Yes, ma'am.
If you notice a person like that, do we automatically dial 911 because he might not be a shooter, but because he had that look?
So,
calls attention.
If I told you in the 4 years that I've worked here at the town of Lexington how many suspicious person calls I've gone to, you'd probably be flabbergasted in 4 years. I've probably gone to probably over a couple hundred. People call, everybody know this whole ripple fiber thing going on in Lexington right now. They digging up people's yards, putting fiber in. We get calls about salesmen all the time, going door to door, suspicious person. He's carrying flyers, he's giving out flyers, trying to get business, he ain't suspicious. Well, people call on him all the time. If he's suspicious in your mind, and there's no reason for him to be here, call 911 and say, hey, there's a guy in our church right now, super suspicious. I ain't saying stop the service. You can keep doing what you got to do. Just have somebody go in the back office back and say, hey, there's a guy sitting in the back pew. He's in the last pew of the church. I know we got active service going on. Give him a description. He's wearing a black hoodie, white guy, whatever. He just don't look right. He don't fit in. He's acting very strange. He's not talking to any of the congregation. He's not being very vocal, anything like that. Let us know. There's nothing wrong with coming up here and say, hey, sir, how are you doing today? Law enforcement will come here. What's going on, man? Oh, I'm not feeling too good. I ain't had a good day. World's going to crap. I don't know what to do. Let's go start, we got some problems here, law enforcement, hey man, let's go outside and talk real quick, We might stop the service for a few minutes. Let's go outside and talk. We'll go try to get him outside and talk to him. At least we're there at that point in time. We can stop anything that happens. So never be scared to call the police. We'll come and talk to him. It might be a situation where, he did some prayer. He wanted to be there, but he just didn't want to be vocal and be out there in front of everybody. So it never hurts to call. We'd rather call, I'd rather be safe than sorry, right? It does not hurt us one bit. We're right down the street. We're half a mile up the road, right? We'll be here in no time. So if you ever need something, call us, okay? Yes, ma'am.
It appears to me, and from years of coming to these type of trainings, that the recommendation is fight or flee.
Yeah.
And do not play dead.
Yes, ma'am.
Because see, before I ever had a training, I used to keep my little niece and nephew next to me at church. And I would say, okay, if anybody come here, you get up under that pew and lay down. Then I found out I had to change that tune. Do not play dead. Get out of here. It's best to get shot fleeing than to lay there and get shot laying dead.
Think about this. General walks in the back room right now and starts shooting. And I'm standing right here in the middle of this aisle. What am I right now? I'm getting a bigger target than him, right? He's just standing there shooting. As I get bigger, I'm a big guy. I'm big back there, right? I'm really big right here. But if I'm over here and I'm running to this door, and I'm over here by this door, he's back there okay, try your luck. I'm quick. I can move, Move around. We can sit here and do something, We can duck and dodge and all that stuff. Move around, get out, do what you got to do. Because most of these shooters, they're not, like I said, they're not practiced. They don't sit there and target. Yeah, some of them do take some target practice. But this is what, 30 feet, give or take roughly, 40 feet maybe. Most of them ain't never shot a shot that far. So if you're over here and you're moving now, you're going to be almost impossible to shoot. I don't care how slow you are. It's going to be hard for them to shoot them. So always try to move. If you're just laying there as a target, laying on the ground, it's easy to shoot an easy sit still target. We tell officers that all the time. Half of them, I say half of them, good bit of them can't even shoot a sit-still target 10 feet away from them, and they got to draw their gun out and shoot. Some of them can't even do that. So imagine what the shooter that's never had any gun experience or range experience at all in his life, what he's doing. He's just going in there, what they call spraying and praying. He's in there just shooting, hoping he can hit somebody. And most of them don't have that training. So yes, if you can get up and you can get out and move, that's your best option. We have a training class. It's called SOAR, it's Solo Officer Response. It's the same people that put this presentation on, but it's for officers. What to do on our off time. If we carry our guns, we carry our badges, all that kind of stuff. It's what to do. And if you're out with your family at Walmart, wherever, all of a sudden shooting breaks out, what are you going to do? That's stuff to think about, right? Now my babies are in harm. My wife's in harm. What am I going to do? Take the kids, get out. I'll meet you at the car. I'm going to do work. Because I got a lawful duty, I got to do what I got to do. But I'm going to go in there and handle my business, do what I got to do. And we have a code word. We have code words say, hey, might be pineapples and bananas or whatever. Why is he talking about bananas? Oh, that's right, we got to get out, I don't ever talk about bananas, so if I say bananas, she knows it's time to go. It's serious time. So that's time for me to then take effect. I'm getting them out. My first thing is to get them out the door, get them to safety, and then I'll go do work, what I got to do, okay? So we always tell you, try to get out safety is the first thing if you can. Get to safety, run out, get out of the building as best as possible, and if you can't, do what you got to do.
And we love our cell phones. I can remember being said, if you come in and I got something in my hand, you're going to aim to shoot at me because you don't know what I have. So we need to have our hands.
Depends on the lighting, yes. I mean, obviously, if I walked into this room and all these lights on and y'all started pointing your phones at me, I'd probably be able to see it's a phone. Now, some of the lights are out, shooting's going on, there's gun smoke and gunpowder all in the air, and it's all foggy in here. And you throw something shiny up in your hand, good possibility. I don't know what it is. It might be a gun. All I know is somebody's been in here doing some shooting. And I don't know if that's a gun or what. The gunman might be, back on that back pew, laid down on the floor, dying. But I see you walk in with a phone in your hand. I don't want to say accidents happen, but it could happen. So always try to keep your hands clear. Any more questions? Yep.
Hang on, people on the thing on here.
Because I know a lot of us carry or authorized to carry, would you suggest us sitting strategically?
I mean, it depends. I mean, if you have, so if you know who's carrying, and you know who inside your church is on at all times, and you have like a security team or whatever you want to put them together, tactical team, whatever you want to call them. I say call them tactical team because if you're a security team, you're supposed to be like licensed by SLED and all kind of other regulations and everything else. So call them I say something else like tactical team or something else, or a rapid response team. That sounds pretty cool, right? Rapid response team. You can kind of, if you want to, that's completely fine. Put one or two in the back, maybe one up front. You know, I don't know, y'all know where Mount Horeb United Methodist Church is up there on Cherokee. I don't know if y'all ever been to service there. It's like the Secret Service up in that place. They're like, they got the president coming or something. They're like, oh, we need one officer here. You're supposed to sit beside the pastor at all times. You can't move. We got two back there. We got one at this entrance, one at that entrance. I'm like, y'all got more here than I got. If something break loose, I'll just let y'all handle it. I ain't got nothing. Y'all gonna get it before I do. So it's hard to say. It just depends on how many people you got that are going to be carrying. If you know the people that are carrying, I mean, heck, if all y'all carrying right now, we got some firepower, right? We got more guns than he's got. We're going to do some work. So it's kind of hard to say, but I would always just kind of recommend spreading out a little bit. Maybe one in the back, one up front, one on each side, maybe something like that. It just depends on who all's carrying and who's there to do their work. So. Yes, sir.
You mentioned drills. We used to do drills in elementary school and maybe high school. We do live screaming. So what are your recommendations on doing a drill to make it as real as possible, but not alarm the people who might be doing the virtual platform and call somebody or spread the word that there's really a shooting there when we're just...
Yeah. So the best way I can tell you to do it, I don't know if there's a way to, when you start the live presentation, say, hey, today we have a planned active shooter training. We're going to do an active shooter training at exactly whatever time. So people watching at home, please don't be alarmed. If you start seeing everybody getting up, running out, don't call 911. This is an active drill that we are doing currently, whether that's something you flash across your screen or you cut the live feed or whatever it is. During that training, you cut it for 5 minutes while everybody works on getting up out of the pews and out of the door or hiding or going back there in the back room and barricading themselves, whatever it is. Just make sure you let people know that beforehand, because obviously they're just sitting there watching and all of a sudden like, good Lord, they all running, somebody shooting, let me get on the phone, call 911. Yeah, we don't want that, right? So having that prepared, that's part of the plan. That's part of, like, anytime we ever have a training or a drill we run in the police department, we got a training out. We got a presentation say, hey, this date and time we're going to have training for active shooter or whatever. This hallway is blocked off. We're going to be doing building clearing here. Nobody's allowed inside the building. We prepare. We let people know ahead of time so that way they're kind of prepared. So that's the best thing I would tell you to do is just prepare people and say, hey, if you put it in your Sunday brochure or whatever, say, hey, this date and time, we're going to have a training, an active shooter training. Everybody in attendance, please partake if you can. Obviously, the best, more training, the better. So.
Somebody coming in after you said that.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of one of those things that if you don't want to plan too far ahead, you can just do it at the beginning of the service. Say, hey, here in about 10 minutes, we're going to get up together. We're going to have a little active shooter training. Please partake if you can, if you're physically able. If you can, get out. Not saying everybody got to run over each other, knock anybody down, get Mother Mary off the front pew and help her out, whatever you got to do. But you can always just give it like a 10, 15-minute head start to where that way somebody ain't going to be able to game it or plan it in time. They just give them, hey, 10 minutes from now, people watching at home on live stream, just be aware that we're going to run a training scenario here in just a few minutes. Don't be alarmed. It's a training scenario. That way you kind of get it prepared a little bit, but also you're not gaming it where it's a week out or a week in advance or something like that to where it wouldn't be. But if somebody wants to commit something, commits a crime or commit a shooting, they're going to do it whether they're prepared a week ahead of time, 5 minutes ahead of time, whatever it is. So you just got to kind of play it, and it's like, hey, in 15 minutes we're gonna run a drill. If you can do it, please do it. If not, please stay seated. I mean, that's your prerogative. You won't stay here while we acting like somebody getting shot. Be your guest, we getting out. So, yeah, just it's kind of hard to game those situations, but just try to do the best you can to prepare people. No other questions? Well, I really do appreciate y'all's time. Like I said, if I could teach this class to one person anytime, I would do it. I love doing this. This is my passion. When I got into law enforcement, I didn't know what I really wanted to do. I was like, yeah, one day I might want to be the chief of police somewhere or do something. But when I heard this presentation talk for the first time, I was like, that's what I want to do. And now I've gotten 4 or 5 instructor certifications to teach different. Like I said, we teach officers all over the state some of the same stuff. So always feel free if y'all need us to come back, teach it 6 months from now to a new set of people. I mean, I'm not the best preacher. I wouldn't take over your Sunday service or nothing. But if you wanted me to come in here on a Sunday, I can work something out. We can come in here and teach to everybody, But yeah, we'll be more than glad to come and help anytime you guys need it. So y'all just let us know.
Do you
Yes,
all
sir.
have shot spotter technology here?
So you're hitting back to my roots at the City of Columbia when I used to work over there, and I used to love me some shot spotter. Man, that stuff was good. That was some good stuff. But no, we don't have it here. If you don't know what he's talking about, there's a shot spotter. It's basically a set of microphones that are set out all strategically all over the city. And whenever there's a gunshot outside, sometimes it picks them up inside. Mostly it's outside. The gunshots will go off. The microphones will pick up that sound noise, and it'll pinpoint to where those shots are being. I mean, it's within 35 feet. It's pretty close. But no, we don't have anything like that here in town. Knock on wood. There's just not a need for it. We don't have that type of violence. Like I said, I used to work at the North Region of Columbia. So I worked Monticello Road, Broad River, Bush River, Greystone, North Main, Farrell Road, Fairfield Road. Yeah, I worked all that area. So we needed a use for it a good bit. So we had a lot over there. And that was always fun because every time we got an alert, we got to ride code. We got blue lights and sirens and moving out of everybody's way and getting there because we're trying to get those people that are shooting as quickly as possible. But yeah, we don't have any of that stuff here in the town of Lexington. So. All right. Yes, sir.
Again, thank all of you for coming out. I think we got some valuable information. And if no other questions, nothing else, we want to have remarks from our pastor, Reverend Tompkins. And we appreciate you coming out and drive safely. Oh. And if you didn't sign in, please do so. We're going to turn that information in to maybe you want to do this at your church or somewhere else. So please sign your name and put which church you're affiliated with on the sheet over here. And one other thing, you do that ducking from the pastor at Walmart's too good, man. I think that's your first time.
All right. Thank you so much again, Deputy. Thank you for the Chief and for Brother Doug Jones, guy who's responsible for getting in charge. I want to thank most of all, I want to thank each and every one of you for your presence, that you responded to the call to the meeting today because it is so very important. We were just on Zoom on Sunday with the elder, the Columbia District of all churches, and she said last week she was headed to the bank. I can't remember what bank she was headed to, but they had the whole area blocked off because there was a robbery at the bank. And, I active shooter right there. But on the other hand, I just heard like yesterday, there was a church had planning on active shooter training. And before that happened, before it started, there was another shootout elsewhere. So we just never know. So thank you so much for your time and for your sacrifice to come out to be with us today. And again, thank every one of you for your presence as well. We try to, include the community, not just New Bethel, but anyone who'd like to be a part of it to get this training and understanding and information and knowledge that we all need because we just never know. I mean, we go in and out to grocery stores and places like that, but it can just happen anywhere, anytime, any place. So, but we continue to trust God. Amen. We just continue to trust God for our protection. And I do want to especially thank those who have been assigned, although our doors are secured at the time of this worship service, but yet we have others who goes out on the ground and make sure that there's nothing unfamiliar, that we are not aware of. So thank you so much again. Amen. Let us all stand at this time. Father, we thank you again for this opportunity. As this meeting, the active shooter training was very informative, and Lord, we want to thank you for those who were able to come, as well as those who were unable to come. And Lord, we ask continue for your protection, that you continue to cover us with your blood wherever we may be. We pray now, God, that you give us a safe travel back to our very destination. Thank you, God, for our all in all. In Jesus'